Sometimes the ocean doesn't just test your strength, it takes a part of you away and dares you to keep swimming. The waves crashed with a sound that could swallow every other noise. It was early morning in Kauai, Hawaii, the kind of morning surfers live for. Golden sun rays spilling over turquoise waters, wind whispering promises of perfect waves. Bethany Hamilton was only 13, but the ocean was her second home. She had salt in her hair, courage in her heart, and dreams so big they could fill the horizon. Her surfboard felt like an extension of her body as she paddled out with her best friend. The water was warm, the waves playful, and life perfect. Then, in one heartbeat, everything changed. Out of the corner of her eye, she caught a flash, not of sunlight, but something darker, something massive. Before she could process it, the water beneath her erupted. A tiger shark more than 14 feet long struck with terrifying force. There was no warning, no time to scream. Just a sudden ripping pain and a blur of chaos. When the shark vanished into the deep, so did Bethany's left arm. Blood filled the water. The salt stung her wound, but the fear was worse. She could hear her friend shouting, could see the shoreline in the distance, but every paddle felt impossible. Still, she fought. Inch by inch, breath by breath, she made it back. By the time she reached shore, her skin was pale, her lips cold. The ambulance siren wailed through the streets of Kauai, a desperate race against time. Doctors later said she had lost over 60% of her blood. The fact that she was alive was nothing short of a miracle. But when Bethany woke up in the hospital, the reality hit her harder than the shark ever could. She was a surfer, without an arm. Her dreams, her passion, the ocean she loved, how could any of that still belong to her? Days turned into weeks. Every morning she would stare at her bandaged shoulder, fighting back tears. People whispered that her surfing career was over before it had even begun. Some said she should forget about it entirely. She didn't just lose her arm that day in the ocean, she lost the future she had imagined. But here's the thing about champions. You can take away their tools, but you can't take away their will. Bethany didn't want pity. She wanted the waves back. She wanted her board, the salt spray on her face, the thrill of chasing something bigger than herself. And so, barely a month after the attack, with her wound still healing, she paddled back into the ocean. The first attempt was brutal. Balancing on the board felt foreign. Paddling with one arm was exhausting. She fell again and again. The waves didn't care about her missing arm. They knocked her down as they always had. But each time she got back up, she began experimenting. She learned how to grip the board differently, how to push herself up with one arm, how to let her legs and core do more of the work. It wasn't easy. It was humbling, exhausting, and sometimes humiliating. But she refused to quit. 3 months later, she entered her first competition after the attack. People lined the shore, some to cheer her on, others out of curiosity, to see if the girl with one arm could actually surf again. When Bethany caught her first wave, slicing through the water with fierce precision, the crowd erupted. She didn't just surf that day, she soared. From there, her journey became something far greater than surfing. She began speaking to crowds, telling them her story, showing them her scars, and reminding them that limits are only as real as you let them be. She wrote a book, inspired millions, and even had her story turned into a Hollywood film. The ocean had taken something from her, yes, but it had also given her something even greater, a purpose. She became living proof that tragedy doesn't have to be the end of your story. Sometimes it's the very thing that gives your story the power to change lives. Bethany once said, "I don't need easy, I just need possible." Her words echo every time a person stands at the edge of their own impossible, staring at the waves of fear and doubt. She showed the world that courage isn't the absence of fear. It's paddling back out into the water even when you know what's beneath it. Today, Bethany still surfs at the highest level. She still competes, still rides waves taller than houses, still smiles with the same fierce joy she had as a little girl. Her missing arm, that's not what people see anymore. They see a champion, a fighter, a woman who proved that no loss, no matter how big, can take away the spirit to keep going. Because when life knocks you off your board, you have two choices: stay down or get back up and ride again. And Bethany, she will always ride again.